What's up YouTube? For tonight's video, we have a full Left 4 Dead 2 Pokemon team. This one is for Patreon. If you want your theme team done, check it out in the description under the Patreon link. Alright, Drago, this one is for you. So I picked 6 of the Pokemon out of there and put them in a team. Now people, I was actually going to put a couple more videos up yesterday, but my sleep pattern is really whacked at the moment. So I'm going to put that one up tomorrow and the next day to make up for it. Anyway, let's get to this. If you do want to battle me, my chat is in the description of the video. I take battles there randomly at, about once a day on there. Alright, this was a battle against a big red E on my chat. Now I had all of the Pokemon, but I did actually swap one out for a different one. I'll get to that in a second. So we have an Alakazam lead here. I thought to stay in just for a little bit of something different there. Probably Alakazam, we'll probably expect a Gobble to actually swap here. Now it's going to go for a Thunder Wave instead, so I'm kind of glad I did that because I actually went for the Boom here. Now I put Explosion on this. This is a Choice Banded set. I'll run through it. It had Choice Band with Explosion, Gunk Shock, Drain Punch, and Seed Bomb. It works pretty nicely. It has some nice offense there. I've got the Aftermath ability on it there as well. Max Health and Max Attack. Alright, so Alakazam is down. That was a very good result. Definitely taking that one out early. So we got a Primate here, and I've got my Lickitung lead. Now, this Lickitung was a really fun set. So, I'll explain that more as I get to use it. So, swapping out there into my Parasect, which was a bulky defensive wall. Now, we've got a special Primate here. I was expecting maybe a physical fighting type move there. But I'm still going to take that reasonably well because I resist that type. I'm running a Max Health, Max Defense Parasect with Leech Seed, Sneathus, Toxic, and Fell Stinger with Effect Spore. I'm not running Spore on this one. I wanted Effect Spore to try and get me some hacks. Anyway, so we have that swapping out, and we have Pidgeot coming in. I get the Toxic off on the swap, which lands really nicely there on the Pidgeot. Now, there wasn't a lot I could do to this thing. I could go for Leech Seed, but I was worried about any kind of flying type move would absolutely wreck Parasect due to its really bad typing against flying types. So I really couldn't actually do much of this. So I thought, well, I want to preserve my Parasect at this point in the game and swap something else out of it and see how I go. So I swapped in my Regigigas, which I did for tank. Now this was a special Regigigas, Max Health, Max Special Attack with Choice Specs. Now I'm getting around the slow start with special moves instead. So on this one I've got Focus Miss, Hyper Beam, Thunder, and Icy Wind. So the return it's about a 3-hit KO to Regigigas. If it was next one was a critical hit, it was going to take me out. So I was hoping I didn't get critical hitted, which I didn't. Now I'm going to go for Hyper Beam, which doesn't miss, and this is going to be enough. So I shoot a Hyper Beam out of my balls, basically, and that's going to be enough to take out the Pidgeot. So things are going pretty well at the moment, taking Pidgeot down and taking an early lead there. However, Regigigas did sustain a lot of damage. So anyway, so Palossand's going to come in. I can't do much of this because I'm on recharge and I can't do anything. Now, Palossand is going to take advantage of that, going for a stockpile. So a lot of the time, Palossand is quite a stally Pokemon. It cannot run offensively too, but I see them a lot as quite stally Pokemon. So I need to get a Toxic on this thing. So I'm going to swap back into Parasect. I know that it might have a move to hit me for super effective or hit me reasonably hard on the special side, but all I really want was to get that Toxic off, and that was my main play there. Anyway, so it's going to go for, I'd say it's going to go for 3 stockpiles. This is what I was thinking at this point in the game. And, then maybe start, spamming just offensive moves like Shadow Ball, Earth Power, those kind of things. And just be really tanky and have something maybe like Shore Up. Anyway, so I got the Toxic off. That was the main thing there. Now it's going to go for a Shadow Ball against my Parasect. Does pretty good damage to it. It's about a 2-hit KO. I've got the Lefty's Recovery on my Parasect, which is pretty good, and it's a very nice item on it. Parasect works very well as a tank. You can also run it as a bulky offensive physical tank, and I think I've even run a special one before just for the fun of it. Anyway, swapping out Parasect, I don't want to lose it quite yet. Swapping back into Regigigas because I thought, well, the Shadow Ball's coming. I might as well get a free swap in here. I'm confident that I could outspeed it, even with slow start up, and maybe get an attacking move off, and maybe get another round of Toxic up on the Palisade. Anyway, so they went for the Shadow Ball like I knew they would. Now going for the Specs Icy Wind here. Since it's got a couple of boosts up in special defense from the stockpile, it's really not going to do too much damage. Still pretty impressive how much it did. So I get a speed drop, not that I was going to, none of my Pokemon were really going to get outsped by it. And now it's going to go for the Giga Drain on my Regigigas. Giga on both. Anyway, so I was thinking, well, maybe it doesn't have Shore Up. Maybe it's just relying on Giga Drain for health recovery. Anyway, so the poison is really starting to rack up nicely there. Now I thought, well, I can swap in my special Kingler here. Now this Kingler I've used before in the past. it's quite an interesting set. So I've got Sheer Force in this with Scald, Mud Shot, Ice Beam, Endure, Max Speed, Max Special Attack with the Timid Nature. But I did a double swap out there, and I went into my Magma, hoping that it'll go for a different move. Now, this has got the Kingler had a Potato Berry there to boost its special attack, so basically I Endure down and get that boost. However, on the swap here into Magma, it's going to go for a Z Stockpile. Now, what Z Stockpile does, it gives you obviously the same boost as Stockpile does, and it recovers all the health there, so I was like, bugger. But it wasn't too bad because I was going to stay into my Magma, which is actually a Toxic Trapping Fire Spin set, which works very, very well, and it's extremely bulky. Let me run through this set. Now, I've got Flame Body in this, which can coincide with Toxic, but I really needed it to be that so I could use Rest and Sleep Talk. So Rest, Sleep Talk, Toxic, and Fire Spin. You could also run Rest, Sleep Talk, Fire Spin, and maybe another move, and rely on the Flame Body for extra damage, making it more bulky on the defensive side. That was a max health, max special defense set with Everlight. Works very, very well, and it's very, very tanky. You can run other things on it as well. It has quite a nice move pool. Anyway, so going back into Jockey there, I don't want to take another Earth Power, so I thought Parasect would be a nice swap in, just stalling off that Toxic damage against the Palossand. Now, the Toxic damage was on its last turn too, so I thought that would be appropriate swap in, and Palossand is finally down. It's always a very stally Pokemon. I have seen other variants like Weakness Policy ones, just pure offensive ones as well. Alright, so in comes the Primate. Now, I know Primate's special move pool quite well. I knew they would be going to use a Fire-type move, but I didn't see any point in swapping out the Parasect against, unless it was a mixed Primate with like maybe Ice Punch or U-Turn or something like that. Anyway, so it was acceptable taking that out because it already, like, Parasect really already did its job already. Anyway, so we're bringing Lickitung here. Now, I wanted to explain this Lickitung set. It was quite a lucky set. I've got Thunder on this set to paralyze them. Then I've got Smelling Salts. Now, what Smelling Salts is, it's doubled in base power when the opponent is paralyzed. However, when you hit them and they live, the paralysis is cured. You could also run that with, Smelling Salts, you could run that with like Fling and Light Ball too. That's probably an easier way. This had me first with a normal LMZ, so making me fast and trying to get the first move. Mainly making me fast, and I've got Knockoff there just to get rid of any items. Max Speed, Max Attack. Max Speed, Lickitung is so fast. Anyway, so I'm going to get poisoned by the Wigglytuff. As soon as I seen Poison, I was thinking, well, it's probably just a support set. Maybe has Wish, Protect, something along those lines. Anyway, so going for the Thunder there, I was really trying to get this paralysis off on the Wigglytuff. I really want to see how much it would do. I get the 30% chance on Thunder, which is nice. So it's going to get paralyzed on the same terms. Like, woo, I can go for the Smelling Salts here. Now, unfortunately, I was going to run Sword Dance on this set too, so I'm probably going to change the setup in the future to boost my attack even further, then go for the Smelling Salts after so it would even hit harder. So anyway, going for Smelling Salts. I knew this wouldn't kill, but it does like a lot of damage there, spanking that Wigglytuff on the face, doing about close to half health, I guess. Unfortunately, it's lackluster health, and Wigglytuff's bulk there took it fairly easily, and it unfortunately cured of its paralysis as well. But that's all good. I got to try out my set, which I kind of wanted to do. Anyways, so here I'm poisoned. There's not much I can really do. Now it's going to go for Protect and just stall me out with Toxic damage. So I thought, well, the best thing I can really do here is go for Knockoff, get rid of his item. Lickitung really can't do too much more. So I got to get around this thing. So I was thinking here, well, my Kingler is kind of untouched. That's going to be handy. And I've also got my Magmar too, which is very bulky in special defense. All these Pokemon remaining appeared to be special Pokemon too, unless that Primate was hiding a physical move and was was a mixed set. I was quite confident it would lie in those two Pokemon to try and get me back in this game. Anyway, so I'm on my last little health there, and I'm going to go down to the Toxic, but that's all good. Lickitung does come back in the next battles and the one after that. Okay, so we have Magma here. I need to get Toxic off. Unfortunately, it misses there. That really, really does suck, because then Wigglytuff is going to get another round of free Protect off, or they could swap on my Magma, and then it's going to be starting to force me to go for a Rest, which is really, I really didn't want to do that this early on in the game. Anyway, I have to get a move on there. I thought about swapping into Kingler here, but I thought, it's really not much it can do to me. All it can do is Toxic and Protect. It's not really going to do a lot of damage. Okay, so I went for Fire Spin there to see if I could trap it in on the swap there. I just wanted to do that too, so the other Pokemon would not be encouraged to swap into it. Anyway, so going for the Toxic this turn. Thank God it lands this time. I would have been raging if it actually missed it. Okay, so Wigglytuff is now poisoned. I wasn't sure if it had any way to get rid of that, but I had to get a poison on at least. Unfortunately, there it was carrying Knockoff, and it gets rid of my Everlight, which really sucks. So that's going to take my tanking capabilities down by a lot in special defense. Fortunately, I'm able to just live that one here. Now I can go for rest, and I'm able to rest up there, and I was able to get that rest up on the top on the protect there, which is really good, so they couldn't stall me up. So going for the rest, and that's going to get my healing me up quite well. Now, even without the Everlight, Magmar is still fairly bulky in special defense with max health, max special defense EVs, which is good on my part. Okay, so Wigglytuff is going down. There's not really too much it can do to me unless it's got some kind of healing move, which would be really annoying. Okay, so now they're going to swap out and go into their next Pokemon, which is the Primate again. Now, I was really hoping here I could get a Toxic off and maybe get the Fire Spin as well. At least one of the moves instead of getting like Sleep Talk Rest, which normally always happens. Thankfully, I get a Toxic and it hits this time. I'm like, good, that's really good. And so I got the Toxic on there. Now, there wasn't much I could do. I could swap in... I was thinking I could swap in Kingler, but I wasn't sure. Like what move it was going to go for. I know what moves it has, and I didn't really want to sacrifice Kingler at this point in the game. So I stayed in there because I knew there would be a special move, or there's a high chance for it. Going for the Hyper Beam there, so it's a 3-hit KO, just thanks to my pure bulk in special defense EVs, really. Even without the Everlight, I take that one well. So going for Sleep Talk here, and I get Rest, which really, really sucks. I really wanted to get that Fire Spin off, because then I could wake up and go for the Fire Spin the next turn and do it for double damage while I was on recharge. Anyways, Primate is going to stay in. I went for Fire Spin here. Thank God it hits. It doesn't miss, and it does some pretty good damage there to the Primate. So now Primate is locked in to the Toxic, and it's going to have to go for another Hyper Beam here, which needs to be a critical hit to take Magmar out. That was the only thing I was worried about here. I could go for Rest easily this turn and just rest that off, and the Primate would go down. That was what I was thinking at this point in the game. Thankfully, I don't get critical hit, and I'm able to get the rest off on against the Primate. So that's really, really good. Primate is pretty much spent now. It can't do anything to me. It's on recharge, and the Wigglytuff was on low health, and there's only one Pokemon left, which I was quite strong against. So things were looking very positive for me at this point in the game, which was nice. So the Fire Spin is enough to take out the Primate too. So the trapping... I love trapping type Pokemon, and they're actually very, very strong when the opponent doesn't have a move to just one-shot you. If it's about a 3-hit KO, there's not a lot they can do. Okay, so the last Pokemon is Vikavolt. So I was like, well, I'm asleep here. All I need to get is one Toxic or Fire Spin up, and that should be enough. I've got my Kingler left to try and mop this battle up. Unfortunately, I get Sleep Talk Rest. Now, the Vikavolt, since I don't have Everlight, it's going to hit me quite hard, unfortunately. Even though it's a 3-hit KO, I'm not sure if that was min or max roll, but it was looking like a 2-hit KO still. Anyway, so going for the Sleep Talk, and I get Rest 2 times in a row. So getting to Rest twice in a row, that actually changed the whole course of this battle, because I really needed some extra damage on this thing. So now I had to decide whether I was going to go for Rest again or just go for Fire Spin. Since my luck was so trash so far, I went for Fire Spin and got some damage on the Vikavolt. Now Vikavolt's going to be able to go for a Thunderbolt and take me out. So that play really did count, getting, even if I got Toxic or Fire Spin, either of those moves would have sufficed there for Kingler. So Kingler doesn't have the greatest special attack in the world. So I really knew they'd go for Thunderbolt. So here I went for Endure. I need to get my Pataya Berry boost, and I wasn't sure here if this was going to be enough to actually take Vikavolt out. Anyway, so they're going for the Thunderbolt, hoping I didn't get paralyzed, which would be terrible too. So I'm going to eat my berry and be on 1 health. Now I'm going to go for Scald. Now after this Pataya Berry boost, I knew that I'd have enough to take out the Wigglytuff. And whether it was going to be enough to take out the Vikavolt was another thing. And unfortunately, it was just missing the kill there. So that double rest actually screwed me over. And I had enough special attack to take out the Wigglytuff on low health too. So that really sucked there. But a good game. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Just RNG was not with me there in the end. I just needed a little bit of damage. Okay, so we have a battle against Reaper Squirrel on my chat. We have a 11-y lead here. Okay, so leading things off with my Lickitung this time. So this was a bit of a dangerous lead, because I thought, if I get a me first off, none of my moves are going to be really good against it. Then it sets off the Reflect. So I'm like, this sucks. So my Smelling Salts is not going to do as much as I wanted, but I thought, well, let's go for the Paralyze anyway, see if I can get that off, at least break maybe a Focus Sash. So I get a critical hit, which does so much damage. Anyway, so now it's going to start my Light Screen. So obviously it's a Light Clay set, and you wouldn't probably run another item on it. In case it was Focus Sash, I was thinking Light Clay or Focus Sash. That would be the two items you'd probably run on that kind of thing. Anyway, so going for the Thunder again, trying to get that scummy 30% Paralyze, which I get, which is nice. So here I can go for me first, try and boost my speed, and just try and, I was hoping it didn't have too much to hit me, so I could stall out maybe a couple of turns of screens and take it out, so then I'd be set up to try and do the next thing, to the next incoming Pokemon. Anyway, so I got my Me first up, and it's going to turn into Bloom Doom, which is going to absolutely do nothing against this. Mainly it's to get my speed up. If I'm able to snag a move and do some damage, that's good too. But mainly it's just to get my speed up. Okay, so going for the Me First Bloom Doom, it absolutely does nothing, which came off C-Bomb. Unfortunately, it's going to get through the paralysis and attack me. So C-Bomb is about a 3-hit KO against me. I wasn't sure if that was a min or max roll, but whatever. So went for the knockoff. I thought, bugger it, let's get rid of that item, whatever it is. And it turned out to be the Light Clay. So that wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, it's going to be able to get through paralysis again, going for another C-Bomb. Okay, so I thought, well, I've got to get my strategy off, at least do some damage. Going for Smelling Salts does a fair chunk of damage. Unfortunately, with that Reflect Up, that really did stop it from taking it out. It would have been very, very close to taking that out. So down goes my Lucky Tongue, but there wasn't much I could do there. I got very, very hard counters. I could have swapped it out earlier on, but I thought that'd be an opportunity to try and get it happening, but it just didn't. Quite hard to pull off that one with such measly attack too. Anyway, so Leaveny's going to come out, and the Togedemaru is going to come in. Oh, for Gunk Shot. I knew there was a Deadney around there, but in case I didn't really want to lock myself into Drain Punch in case it didn't swap, so that was my reasoning behind that one. So having to swap out the Garbodor there since I was Choice Banded, bringing in Regigigas now anyway, in case it went for like any other move, like a Spiky Shield or anything, because obviously I didn't give away that I had Choice Band there. Anyway, so I'm going to get faked out, doesn't do too much for me. Now it's going to go for the Poison Jab. So obviously going for a Poison. Regigigas is very bulky, so I'm going to take that one nicely. Even with the Max Health, it's just taking it very nice. Okay, so going for the Focus Miss here, it lands, so Togedemaru gets saved by the light screen there. The Reflect has worn off, which is good. That was going to help me out a little bit later on in the game. So I wanted to make sure that I could get rid of that Leaveney when it came out next, so it couldn't set any screens up. So swapping in Garbodor here, hoping it would go for the Poison Jab, but that's not the case. It's going to go for a Zing Zap. Even so, it is a 3-hit KO. Now I can go for Drain Punch against the Togedemaru and take it out. It's going to hit me with another Zing Zap. Fortunately, I get flinch there. I'm able to get the Drain Punch off, and that's going to be enough to take out the Togedemaru. And I'm going to get some health back there as well. Okay, so that's good. However, the Togedemaru does have, it doesn't have the Lightning Rod, it's got the Iron Barb, so I'm going to take a little bit of damage there, which is cool. So I thought, well, I might be able to, since Garbodor is not going to be outspeeding too much, I might be able to use my Aftermath ability to just get some extra damage. Okay, so obviously Leaveny's going to come in and start setting up screens again, so I thought, well, I'm locked into Drain Punch. I may as well go for it, and since there's no Reflect Up, that'd be good too. And like a lot of the other Pokemon, quite weak to Drain Punch. So Drain Punch still does fair damage, and I'm able to get a little bit of health back as well, which is pretty good. Now, I knew that I could now leave a Seed Bomb, which is cool. And if it did creep me for some reason, Aftermath would be enough to take out the Leaveney. Okay, so now Leaveney's going to go for Reflect. The good thing about this is it doesn't have that Light Clay, so they're only going to be going for 5 turns, and one turn is already counted from the Leaveney using the the Reflector earlier on. Okay, so obviously the Drain Punch isn't enough to take it out, sadly, but that's all good. Now, Leaveney's going to swap out here, maybe obviously trying to get those screens up later on in the game. I was quite confident I could get rid of that later on. Okay, so we have the Lowland Persian coming in. I actually swapped out here. Saving that for a little bit later too. Okay, so bringing in my Parasect here. Now, I've got Fell Stinger on this. This was I've already explained this set. Leech Seed, Kinesis, Toxic, and Fell Stinger. Now, mainly for this one, it was a bulky wall, but if I was able to get, just slide it in on a Pokemon with a little bit of health and get some offense from Fell Stinger, then, all the more that would be nice, and I could have some, some attacking presence there too. Alright, so Ninetales is going to come in here. This is really bad for my Parasect. Fortunately, I go for the Toxic there on the swap, and Ninetales is going to be poisoned, so this is really bad. Like a freaking Ember's going to be able to take me out, so I've got to get rid of this thing. And my other team, my Garbodor really can't swap in. My Regigigas is not going to like swapping into that either. So I had to make a decision here. And in the end, I decided to go in my Kingler in case it was a fire move. I have Scald and I've got Mud Shot as well, which I'd be going for instead because the sun would be powering down my Scald. Okay, so it's a physical set. And it's got the Toxic Orb. Obviously, I thought I had the Toxic Orb up there for a second, but it didn't. I was actually getting confused with my Toxic Orb facades there. Anyway, so I outsped it going for the Mud Shot. Doesn't really do too much. Now the Ninetales is going to go for a Zen Headbutt. Obviously, it's a physical set there too. I'm going to outspeed, so they're not going to get the Scummy. They're going for the flinch. Okay, so I have Potato Barrier here. I thought, well, I could go for Endurite and get that in case it's a critical hit or it does extra damage, and that could stall an extra turn of the attack out too, instead of it dying to the Toxic. Then it's going to have quick attack and activate my berry, so that sucks. So it did have a priority move. Here I can just go for any move to take it out. However, quick attack's going to be in a little bit of extra damage, but even with, I needed a crit to actually take my Kingler out. So now it's going to go for the quick attack again. I'm going to leave that and just take it out with Skull. So I kind of wanted to get my berry boost, then the Toxic to take it out, but that's not really how it went. But that's cool. I still got my berry boost, but unfortunately I was on a little bit, less health than I thought I would be. Okay, so now obviously the Levin is going to come in here. It can outspeed me and go for the C-Bomb, or I wasn't sure if it was running max speed or not. It's going to be outspeed me, and that's going to be enough to take out my Kingler, which is fine. I had something to take it out anyway. Alright, I wasn't sure if it was running like max health and offense and max speed. Anyway, so swapping in my Garbodor here, I knew they had nothing to take me out. If it went for even got a crit on me, the Aftermath would be enough to take it out. Okay, so now it's going to set up the Reflect again. I went for the Drain Punch because I thought that would be the best move to hit the other Pokemon on the team, and that's enough to take out that anyway, and I got a little bit of health left, which was cool. So that worked out nicely. I was only able to get the Reflect off, and no light screens or anything along those lines, so Regigigas was still okay. Alright, now we have the Girafarig coming here. So Drain Punch wouldn't be too bad against it. I thought it'd do some solid damage. I know that it does have Zen Headbutt too if it's a physical set. However, it's going to go for Retaliate, which is going to be enough to take out my Garbodor. However, I do get a chunk of health off the Girafarig from the Aftermath, so that wasn't too bad. Okay, now I was thinking I could swap in Regigigas here and just go for a Focus Miss, because that's very, very powerful against the Alolan. I nearly said a Lowland Virgin again. The Lowland Persian, and it's pretty good against the Girafarig too, just at the cost of a bit of accuracy. Okay, so I'm going to get hit by the Zen Headbutt. I get critical hitted too, which sucks. Focus Miss hits, which is nice. Unfortunately there, it's going to be able to tank that one. It actually is an Assault Vest Girafarig, is what I found out afterwards. And I kind of already knew that anyway because of the judging on the damage it did. Alright, so swapping out Regigigas, I do not want to take any more damage. I want to save that for a little bit later on. And it's going to go for another Zen Headbutt against my Parasect. But since I'm very bulky in defense, I'm going to take that one quite easily. I was kind of low-key hoping that Effect Spore would actually kick in too. Now, it's a pretty even battle at the moment. It's going to go for Earthquake. I actually didn't swap there. I decided to stay in. Maybe they thought I was going to swap. I'm not too sure. Anyways, or they didn't want to get Effect Spore. Either way, it just wasn't going to work for them. So going for the Fell Stinger there. Unfortunately, that Reflect saves their life there, and I'm going to be able to not get my +3 in attack, and that sucks because I wanted to get that Fell Stinger bulky Parasect happening, but no worries, that kind of messed it up for me. So I was wondering if they're actually going to stay in here and let me get that up, or they're going to go into something else. So they're going to go into the Lowland Persian, which was always also weak against it. Unfortunately, it seems to be a lot, it's obviously a lot more bulkier, and it's got a lot more health than Girafarig, so that was the better swap in. And it had Rocky Helmet too, doing damage to me. So I could go for Toxic here, I could go for Leech Seed. There was a couple of options. I wasn't sure if it had, what moves it had. Now it's going to go for the Foul Play here, and that does a lot of damage to me. Unfortunately, it was a critical hit too. I get an Effect Spore on Toxic, so I was like, oh, I went for Toxic that turn too. So I went for Toxic, they got Toxic, and I got critted. So that was a really, really unlucky turn there. There was absolutely nothing I could do against that. I was laughing to myself at the chances of that happening. Anyways, there wasn't much I could do here other than go for a healing move and just get my health back against the against the Lowland Persian here. Okay, so healing off here, I was in a pretty good position because not a lot of their Pokemon could really touch my Parasect, so I thought that was good. And I wanted to keep this alive during the duration of the battle too. I knew that it would come in handy. Now, I knew that it probably could go for Foul Play again, but even after all the damage that it did before with the critical hit, I knew that I could tank hits from this thing. Okay, and I had the Poison up too, which was really nice. Okay, so the Lowland Persian is going to swap out. Now we have the Kecleon coming in. This is where this bit was very, very stally. I actually did a double swap here and went into my Magmar. Now, Magmar was bulky in special defense, as you already know. So, going for the Toxic here, which was great that I outsped. Now, the Kecleon's going to get poisoned. I wasn't sure. Kecleon can have so many different sets. It's got such an array of moves. It's crazy. It goes for the Substitute. I'm so grateful that I was able to outsped and get that up. So, obviously, it was going to be more of a stalling set with the Substitute. Although, we're going to try and go for a move behind the Substitute that, the only move that I could really do was Fire Spin, right? So I wasn't doing a lot of damage. Kecleon has nice base special defense too. So swapping out Magma there, I thought I'd done my best work, and swapping in Regigigas there, just to see what move this was. I thought I might be able to break the the sub on it and then swap something else later. Now, Kecleon's going to go for a protein electric type of attack, which is going to be the Thunderbolt. So it's a special set, doing a fair bit of damage there to my Regigigas. So I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to outspeed this if it's running like speed EVs. But at least the toxic damage is racking up there. I know it can recover, but the main thing is that toxic damage is happening. Okay, so Regigigas is going to go for the Hyper Beam at outspeed. Unfortunately, it misses. Now the Kecleon is going to go for the Thunderbolt against my Regigigas. I leave it on 2 health there. So I was like, oh, if I can get a Hyper Beam up again, I can break that substitute. And, I can go for the Fire Spin on the Magma and trap it in there. And that'll speed this process up a lot quicker than it already is. Okay, so going for the Hyper Beam again, since I've got nothing to lose, I'm locked into it. Hyper Beam misses for the second time in a row. I'm like, oh my god. And then the Kecleon is going to take me out with the Thunderbolt. So that is Regigigas down, unfortunately, there. And I'm feeling a little bit salty at the moment. So I've got 2 Pokemon left. I've got the Magma and I've got the Parasect. So those would be the choice Pokemon to use. Okay. So I've got the main thing is here, I've got the poison up, so really all I got to do is wait, and that's going to go down. Even if it has recover, as I mentioned before, it's all good. So swapping a Magmar in here, I just went for the Fire Spin against it to try and break that substitute, and, try and trap the Kecleon. Not that it really mattered too much. Okay, not like, it's not like the Girafarig wanted to swap into a Fire Spin or the Lowland Persian, because that, the Lowland Persian will be trapped into a toxic Fire Spin combo, and the Girafarig is only on a little bit of health, so it would go down too. Okay, so one more turn, and that's the, I nearly said the Girafarig. The Kecleon is going to go down to the poison. Going for the Fire Spin, it misses, which is fine, I guess. I've already missed a lot of times this turn. And now Kecleon is going to go for a Thunderbolt. So this Magma helped me out so much in this a lot of these battles, like especially against the strong special attackers. Kecleon probably isn't the strongest special attacker, but just in general, it helped me out a lot there. Okay, so finally, Kecleon goes down to that one, which is nice. The last 2 Pokemon are the Girafarig and the Lowland Persian. So I thought, this is going to go for Retaliate. So I was like, bugger it, let's go for Fire Spin here. Going for Fire Spin, it just lives on 1 health. I'm like, what the fuck, seriously? Now it's going to go for Retaliate. I wasn't very bulky in defense, however, the Everlight does save my life, and Girafarig's its attack isn't the greatest in the world, so that was probably enough to let me live that. And the Fire Spin taking Girafarig out. So, the last Pokemon is the Lowland Persian, and there wasn't too much else I could do to it. Apart, I could go for Fire Spin or go for Rest. I decided to go for the Fire Spin against the Lowland Persian. It's going to set up the Amnesia there, so I was like, damn, maybe it's got some way of recovering. This is kind of bad. I get a critical hit on that. I'm trapping it in. The toxic damage is doing a little bit there. However, Fire Spin and that crit at the start was enough to take out the Lowland Persian, and that is the end of the game. Hope you guys enjoyed both these battles. A really long one today, like something else. Enjoy the bloopers and bonus battle. Peace.